It's another episode of the Brett Allen Show, and today we have a very special guest. Thanks for watching and listening. I'm excited. I've been looking forward to this conversation. We are chatting with veteran actor Geoffrey Owens. I mean, his resume goes on for miles. All the amazing projects he's been a part of course, Elvin Tibideaux from the Cosby Show. Most people would know you from, but I've seen you on so many different things. I recently saw you on an episode, I believe, of The Rookie. That
was I.
That was you. And I think maybe an episode of New Amsterdam. I don't know. I've seen you come up
Yes.
here and there. And I thought to myself, why have I never seen or how to invite him onto the show? So thanks for your time. It's a pleasure to chat.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've been a fan for a long time, and I know, you were a part of a lot of people's childhoods growing up, but you've been an actor for a long time. I like to ask this question from the start because I think people find it fascinating because we want to get to know you just on an individual basis. What interested you in becoming an actor or a storyteller? Like, where was that moment for you?
It goes back to when I was a little kid and I would do imitations of animals, dinosaurs and animals in my house for my family. And they just really enjoyed it. I remember my mother used to always say, "Oh, when you had a party," she would say, "Geoffrey, do the little turtle thing." So probably my first performances were the little turtle thing for parties at my house. And when I got to school, I was in school plays, and I really loved being on stage. And people thought I was funny, and they liked what I did. I got the bug really early when I was in grade school, like second, third grade. And then I just took it more and more seriously. I went to, in junior high school, I had a wonderful, wonderful acting teacher named Bill Fleischman, who really made me fall in love with theater as a craft and made me take it seriously. And then I went to the High School of Performing Arts for a year and had a terrific teacher named Ruthelle Kohler. And then another high school, John Dewey in Brooklyn, for 2 years, where I was part of a repertory company and did plays. So I started being in full plays, even directing plays as early as junior high school, high school. Then I went to Yale undergraduate, where I was an English major with a theater studies minor. So all this time, my interest and seriousness about theater, are growing. Got out of school, procrastinated for a year and a half, scared to start my career. And then in early 85, started my career, got cast in a play, and I guess never looked back. Later that year, in the fall of 85, I started the Cosby Show.
Wow. So that was really like obviously you'd been working for quite a while prior to that, but that was really like,
wasn't working. It was only 9 months before that happened. I started January 85, and in September 85, I was on the Cosby Show for the first time.
Now, my understanding is a lot of people were discovered when his wife at the time had gone out and was watching people perform here and perform there. How did they find you? Did you traditionally audition or
traditional audition?
Okay.
Traditional audition, yeah.
Wow, and then bam, it just everything takes off from
I was hired for one episode. I don't know if you remember. I was hired for one episode, and then 3 months later or something like that, I was brought back. And then 3 months later again. So the first season I was on 3 times. The second season I was on 3 times. And then they put me on contract, and I was on more like 6 or 7 times for the last few seasons. But it happened very gradually.
Interesting, because I feel like I'm 47. I think we might, I'm thinking about this. It just seems like you were on every single episode,
Oh, no, not at all.
I know, but it feels that way.
Yeah, probably about 20% of the episodes at the most.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know, you're like, no. Trust me, I can tell you. I'm just saying, because your character, it's one of those situations where it's so memorable, where you just kind of feel like, you were just a part of the whole thing. And I think that's one of the absolutely one of the things that I find interesting about your industry, and I talk to a lot of actors about this, is like there's this conception of, or perception where you're on something and it's just like instant success and the money's rolling in and everything crazy is happening. But really 95%, maybe even more actors, doesn't work that way. It works 10, 12 weeks at a time. I was interviewing
Mm.
Michael Fishman from The Connors and Roseanne. He said something very similar. You know, it's like his character, although we see him a lot, it's not what people imagine when you're in this industry. It's a lot of hard
Yeah.
work.
Well, it's also like people who see, like you, for instance, you said you saw me on The Rookie, saw me in New Amsterdam. You know, they see you here and there on television. They get the impression that you're working a lot. You
Yeah.
know, like, oh, I see you all the time. You're working a lot. It's like, yeah, if a lot is once every 3 or 4 months, you know what I mean? It's like it accumulates on your television, especially when you see reruns and you can tape things and stuff. But the fact is that, you know, I go through months and months at a time sometimes with no work, you know, and that's the reality for most actors.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I like my listeners and viewers to get in these conversations is because it's like, you know, somebody might be on here maybe promoting a project or something, but really it's like, you know, that episode of this or that could have been filmed like a year ago, you know, before the
Exactly.
pandemic or during the
Exactly.
pandemic. And then now we're seeing it. And then all these things, you know,
Right.
are popping up.
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah.
And then it's like, well, how do you have time to do anything? It's like, well, hold on.
Yeah.
You know,
I got
this,
lots of time.
I've got lots of time. That's great. I know the last 2 years has been crazy for a lot of people. We've been stuck inside. Do you watch television? Do you watch entertainment, arts, films, or are you maybe, because I've talked to people that are the opposite and they,
I'm not a TV watcher. I'm not. I hardly watch any television. When I turn on my television, I watch either sports, especially tennis, or movies, you know, or stream certain shows that I like and admire that are on the streaming networks or occasionally on network television, but mostly the streaming platforms that, you know, that I particularly like, you know. But television, traditional television, I haven't watched for really for decades. I was never, since I was a teenager, been a TV watcher. So, you know, people say funny, like, well, you're on that show, you don't watch it. I'm like, that's right. I don't necessarily watch it.
that's okay.
That's
I
the way it
think,
works sometimes. So, but I try to watch, like recently I've had some recurring things going on, which is really nice.
yeah,
I've recurred on Power, which
yes.
became Ghost. So the Power Ghost franchise, I'm a recurring character. On The Good Fight, I've been recurring as a lawyer, and also to a lesser extent, but to some extent, on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I've been on 3 times over the years. And I've been on a couple of episodes of the new Michael Che's new show, That Damn Michael Che. So in a way, 4 different shows in which I appeared multiple times. So those are the things that a lot of people equate me with now, especially Ghost
Yeah.
Power Ghost.
Yeah, that's a great show. We've had several cast members on from that. I'm that's one show that just absolutely like fascinates me. I don't you know, it's just so Sakura. I mean, all those people are just unbelievable, and how somebody can not just star in the show but produce and sometimes write. It's very fascinating. But you're not the first person I've spoken to, actor or entertainer or storyteller, however you want to label it, that doesn't watch a lot of TV. I was talking to somebody yesterday who's been in a million films, and
Yeah.
like you would know this person. He's on a show right now, Bob Hart's Abishola, but he's like, I don't watch television. I'm
Right.
busy with my 15-year-old teenager and getting him
Exactly.
interested in life and things. Now, I know you
Right.
have a family. Did they ever watch anything that you do or find any interest in what
They
you've
do.
done?
They do occasionally. You know, I mean, if I happen to know when it's on. The other thing is like knowing when something's on and like being available to watch it. You know, so
Yeah.
occasionally we'll sit down and watch me in something, but it doesn't always happen. No. Uh,
Did they ever have any interest or show any interest in the industry?
my
Okay.
son, I have a 23-year-old son who in the last year and a half has become interested in acting, and he's actually he's talented, and more important than the fact that he's talented is that he's very disciplined and hardworking and serious about it,
Wow.
and he's working very hard at it, and he's already gotten 3 professional jobs in the
Wow.
business. So I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think as parents, we just want the best for our kids, and want to. I have a 7-year-old. I got a late start in life, but
Mm.
he's kind of showing interest in certain things, and we want to stoke
Yeah,
the fire, in our children.
of course.
Um, I just find that interesting because you were I'm 47. I'm not sure of your age. I don't want to ask this, but I remember watching you on television, in the Cosby Show and these different projects, and sort of looking at that and just finding that world so interesting and fascinating. I think that's why I talk to folks, amazing people like yourself, because I just want to get into that world.
Mm.
When they watch those episodes, if they get a chance to, do they find, is it weird for them to see dad at such a young age and kind of working with such iconic people?
Are you
And
saying, is it weird for me to look at myself
is it weird
on?
for you, or is it weird for them to watch yourself, like, let's say the Cosby Show, where you were on and it was such a very popular show, and
Yeah.
everybody was tuning in and made weekly appointments to watch it. There was no streaming, there was no
Yeah.
DVRs.
Well,
You
with the
could watch
Cosby
it.
Show, to look back, it is strange because it's so long ago. I mean,
Yeah.
the other week ago, just about a week ago, was the 30th anniversary of the airing of the final episode,
Wow.
which aired on April 30th, 1992. It's been 30 years since the show has been done. So that's half my life. There's a hint to how old I am, by the way, Brett.
Yeah. Okay. I'll just do the
Okay,
math,
that's about half my life
yeah.
ago. So it's like really another, it's like, yeah, it's strange to look at those episodes. It is a bit strange. Yeah.
Yeah. And to really have such success at such a young age too, I
Yeah.
imagine.
That was weird. That was not always easy to handle. It was,
Yeah.
I never expected that kind of, celebrity. And I never expected, I was always focused on the theater. I was a theater actor. I still am, really. I love theater more than anything. I never expected to be on television, let alone, I mean, especially a very popular television show. So that was an interesting and sometimes challenging experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. I always, again, that part of your world. Well, I think what you do just as an actor, period, whether it's stage or screen, little small, it's just so different than what most people are like used to and what they might be familiar with. Because I work an 8 to 5 job. I do this, I'm in the wine industry. I'm working, I'm making
Nice.
appointments. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But then I do this, this is obviously, I'm very passionate about this. And that's why I like talking to people, because it's just so different. And I feel like I've learned a lot. Was there ever, throughout the trajectory of everything you've done, was there ever anybody that was a part of your life that gave you a piece of advice or something that really kind of stood out to you, that sort of sustained you through this career?
You know what? Nothing's coming to mind right now. I'm sure the answer is yes, on a number of occasions. I'm not thinking of anything right now. I know that one thing that Bill Cosby himself told me right before I got officially cast as Elvin in the Cosby Show, I remember a piece of advice he gave me that really helped. It had to do with Elvin, the character, but it really had to do with how to approach acting in general.
Wow.
And he said to me almost inadvertently, he said, by the way, I don't want this guy, meaning Elvin, I don't want this guy to be a butthole. And I understood what he meant, because the character was written kind of like a butthole.
I could see that.
Right.
I could see that.
But he said what he was saying was, don't play him like that. Don't be fair to him. Don't judge him. You know what I mean? And that's a very important thing for the craft of acting, is when you play a character, you don't judge them. You don't comment on them. You give them their due.
Yeah.
You make them fully human to the best of your ability, not any kind of commentary or caricature or symbol. So that was a wonderful piece of artistic advice he gave me at the last minute. And I'm sure there have been many people in my life who've helped me,
I mean, I think that can just translate into life in general. Don't be a butthole to people.
Well, yeah, that's true. Of course.
I mean, you clearly, yeah, it's interesting. I've heard that before, because when you're playing a character on paper, they could be absolutely appalling. But when it comes to actually playing them just in itself,
you've got to bring the humanity to.
Yeah, you've got to bring humanity.
Yeah.
You don't want to sort of, like you said, do a character of something. You want them to be presented in a lovely way,
Right.
and let the audience decide, because that person's mom might think they're a wonderful child, but you're playing a murderer. I don't know.
Right. That's the classic example. Yeah.
Well, or even recently, I think it was The Rookie, where you're in a hospital and you've got a kid and you go do something crazy.
Yeah, I try to kill someone.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to save my daughter.
Yeah, I mean, what a parent would do for their child, I think, and that's the lens you have to look into all this. Well, I tell you, I appreciate your time. I find just your entire career just fascinating. Everything that you've done.
Thank you.
100%. I mean, I've obviously, I've been a fan for a long time, and just watching all the things that you've shown up on, and I wish you nothing but continued success. You've been very busy. I know things have been weird, like I said early on, and people are back to work, and you're getting things done, which is hopeful.
Thank you. I'm coming up to a couple of episodes. I don't know how much you watch television, but there's a show called All Rise.
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan of that show.
I'm on 2 episodes coming up soon. 2 back-to-back episodes of recurring on that. So you can look for that. And another show that I shot a pilot of is called Early Edition, which hopefully will make it to the broadcast, the airing stage. So those are a couple of things coming up, as well as a couple of films that are in the can, as they say, being formed as we speak.
Yes, I can't wait. Well, I think, the golden age of television of some degree is here. People want to watch, they want to be entertained, and you certainly have done a great job in that. Geoffrey, thanks for hanging out today. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It was great. Thank you. I appreciate it.